view, whatever the material is in this rock that was laying across the railroad tracks out back, which we know is a volcanic rock. Well, many things can be in the volcanic rock. There could be, in here, there could be gold, there could be silver, there could be sulfur, sulfur content. It could be very electrical conductive under stimulation. It could make a fantastic radio crystal. So what we're looking for is when this dries out, what we want to do is take this material and place it on a piece of oxygen-free copper. Just like you see here.
Where do you get the oxygen-free copper from?
You just buy it.
Okay.
You just buy it from a metal place. And what you do then is you fire up your kiln or your oven to 200 and 2500 degrees, and you melt it down. Now, how you have it tested is by what floats to the top when it melts, which you would term as a slag. So what it says right here is this material contains ruby, but black.
Hold on. Right.
Okay. So now when we finalize the material and we get it to the perfect purity after getting the correct process in growing the crystal, notice this is a real black ruby. You can see it's shining.
Wow. So that's a real
black ruby.
A ruby's barrel?
Ruby. Rubies are usually red.
Yeah, and another barrel like
yeah.
Emerald?
Yeah, but remember we're growing this in an oven.
Right.
And we're taking the material when it's finally melted and we're dripping it on some and letting it cool off so we can see what it is.
Right.
right.
And we have that assayed. So basically, this all was known. This was a known process by a man called John Sajeka, who had quite a file on seed material at the time. And if you wanted to do something, suppose you wanted to become the world's best alchemist. Well, there were companies that knew how to do this, but they weren't in the general vicinity of the public. They were hidden away. So
this process has actually been...
This process is very proprietary.
Right.
But, of course, today we're letting it out. Because why take this secret to your grave? When you can gain minerals, it works just like the body. You take in your food, and the hydrochloric acid breaks down all the material that you've consumed, and it takes the minerals, the vitamins, and all this stuff. Well, here they are. They're right here. Everything that was in that rock. So now, what we can do is take this powder and put a scoop of it on a piece of material, like you see right here. And then we can see what grows from that in the oven. And we can decide whether or not this is a good electrical conductive for, say, a room temperature semiconductor.
So what you're pointing at now is that's after being fired in the oven?
Yes, that's after being in it, and it says right here what's in it, because this has been assayed. It says ruby,
right,
gold, and silver. And that's from this material here. See, it says ruby, gold, and silver.
Okay.
Is what's coming out of this mix.
And who did the assay?
A local assayer, flame assay test.
And that was in the valley?
And it was handled by a guy that was very secretive.
Yeah.
And I can only give his first name, and that'll be Milton.
And that was in California.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
This was done in Sylmar, California.
Yeah.
And then, now the other thing is when you find a material that works, not all these are going to produce gold or silver or copper or zinc or anything like that. Some of them are going to become an electrical conductive crystal that you want to use for something. So anyway, some of these are going to become electrically conductive, and you want to use them, say, for sound, or you want to use them, say, for power. Well, these happen to work well with power transfer. This is why they're big. They happen to filter out the noise on an AC line. So this would be in series with your AC line, and it would filter out the noise. And people in audio would use that as a line conditioner. This one over here would be used in a stereo
Excuse
system.
me, backing up. Did you used to use those yourselves, or
Yes.
sell them to people that would
Yes.
use them? Or
Yes.
yeah.
So we made speaker conditioners. This was a speaker conditioner here. It was encapsulated, and it says right here where it was done, and the zip code and everything. And this would go in a speaker, and it would change the total sound of the speaker. It would make the speaker, say, sound more like there was a tube amp running it, but with the bottom end, the bass end, and the top end. So if you wanted to, say, do preamplifying controls, you wouldn't need a power crystal like this. See? This is more for like power. You would use something like this right here. And these specifically were designed and measured for preamplifiers. In other words, input cables. So we could change the sound of the input cables with these crystals. Once we got the mix, once we got the seed material right where we wanted it, then we would just duplicate it over and over and over and over. This particular one here is used as a stereo synthesizer. A mono signal goes in to the substrate, and the right channel comes out and the left channel comes out. So it's all a one-wire system basically with a common ground. So this here this crystal here is being used for a big power amplifier, a 200-watt power amplifier for running the speakers.
So you would figure out ahead of time what you needed,
Yes.
and then go
Right.
through the process to produce what you actually. So you pretty much had it dialed in then.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
And the only reason that we got into this was because it was not copyable. You couldn't copy it.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you finished forming that crystal, what happens to the waste product?
Well, see, it dissolves all the way down, everything evaporates, and it leaves the crystal.
Oh, okay.
So there is no waste.
Yeah.
Because, see, it's growing. See how it's growing on there?
Yeah.
And if you really notice it, it's soft.
Mm-hmm.
See it? It's almost like it's little fibers that are meltable.
So it's not granular.
No.
Yeah.
So
How long does it take to grow?
it takes anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 months easily. Because depending on how much material you're putting in here,
Right, right.
you have time for the evaporation process. Because you're not going to touch it. You're going to leave it facing towards that position
Right.
until it's done.
Yeah.
And then what you're going to do is you're going to dry this out. You're going to take it outside, hang it up, and dry it out. It's not going to fall off there. See? And when it's all dry, you're going to scrape that powder off into a crucible. And then you're just going to grind it fine like this.